Hello everyone. Let me tell you that if you have already a good idea about using Power BI and Power Pivot in Microsoft Excel, you already passed the halfway to learn Power BI. In today's video, we are going to demo how we can use Power BI in order to analyze sales data stored in an Excel workbook. This data is for multiple years from 2017 up to 2019. At the beginning, we are going to use the Power Query inside Power BI in order to load the data from the Excel file up to the Power BI. And then we are going to use several Power BI features in order to complete the report. During the video, we are going to use a couple of AI features or artificial intelligence features in order to complete our task smoothly and effectively. If you feel that you need to gain more knowledge about Power Query, I'm going to leave a link in the description box. This link will take you to a 5-hour tutorial video. This video will take you from the very beginning up to the intermediate level in Power Query. In all cases, and even if you don't have enough knowledge about Power Query, this video will be a very good introduction about Power BI. You still can watch this video, and this will take us from the very beginning up to completing a final report that you can share with your colleagues or your managers. All the work that we are going to perform during this video will be on the Power BI desktop application. This application is completely for free from the Microsoft website, and I'm going to leave a link as well below the video. Let's have a look on the data and then move to the Power BI desktop. My data is stored in an Excel file. You can see that I have 3 tabs or 3 sheets, 2017, 2018 and 2019. The 3 tables are identical. You can see that I have the same columns: date, category, product, segment, region, quantity and net sales, and the same for the 3 tables or the 3 sheets. I have also the data for 2020, exactly the same structure. At the end of the video, I'm going to copy this tab inside the same Excel file in order to see if my report will be updated automatically or not. The data is relatively big. You can see that each and every file containing approximately 50,000 rows of data. The objective is to build a report like this one. On the top, you'll see the title, AAA Bikes Sales Report for year 2019. On the left-hand side, I have a slicer. I can select the year. I can select only 1 year. When I change the slicer selection, everything in the report is changing, and also the title automatically changing to year 2017. Here I have the breakdown of the sales by category: bikes, clothing, accessories and components. But also I can drill this down to the product level. I can use these buttons. Let's say the double downside arrow here. If I click on it, you will see that you will have the breakdown by the product. Also you can drill up using the drill up button. I have 2 donut charts. First one splitting the sales by segment, business and consumer, and the other one splitting the sales by region. I have Upper, Alex, Sinai, Canal, and so on and so forth. And also I can see the trend, the daily trend of the sales for the selected year. All these charts are interactive. If I select the bikes from the left-hand side, all the other charts will look only at the bikes. If I select, let's say, business, all the other charts also will look at the business only for 2017. And also I can select from multiple charts. While pressing and holding Control, I can select bikes. So everything is looking at bikes business. Also I can use the Control key one more time to select a specific region. Let's say Alex. So everything in the report looking at 2017, bikes, business, and Alex. Let's go directly and see how we can build a report like this one. I'm going to start from a blank Power BI file. So I'm going to File and then New. This will relaunch the Power BI, and here you go. It always starts from the landing page or the start page. On the left hand side, you'll see the Get Data. Get Data in Power BI is exactly same as Get and Transform in Excel. Both are nothing but Power Query. Once I click on it, it will trigger the Get Data window, and you'll have all data sources that you can extract data from. We have our data stored in Excel workbook, so I'm going to select Excel workbook and then connect. This will open the browser, and I'm going to select my file. Here is my file, 3-year data, and then open. This will trigger the navigator, exactly the same navigator as the Power Query in Excel. Here is my file, and here is the 3 sheets that I have inside this file. I can select them all, but this will create 3 queries. In my case, I need only 1 query containing all the data together. So I'm going to uncheck all, and then I'm going to select the header, right click, and then transform data. And this will trigger the Power Query editor. exactly the same Power Query editor as the one that we have inside Excel. On the right hand side, I have the name of the query 3yeardata.xlsx. I'm going to change this to all sales and then hit enter. In the middle, I have preview of the data, and you can see here the content of your Excel workbook. I have 3 sheets. I have the name of the sheets, and then I have a column containing the data. If you select the empty white space here and you check the preview downside, you will see that I have the data here in this table, and this table. Also, you can notice that the headers are not promoted. I need to promote the headers, meaning that I need date, category, product, segment, all of this to replace the column 1, column 2, column 3. In order to do so, while selecting the source step, I'm going to expand the formula bar, and you will see that at end of Excel.workbook function, I have 2 parameters. One is null and the last one is true. I'm going to change this null to true and then hit the check mark. And if I check once more, you will see that headers are promoted. Now I'm ready to expand this data. I'm going to select the data column. This is the only column that I need. Right click and remove other columns. And then I can expand my data using the expand button. Don't forget to uncheck use original column name as prefix and then click on OK. And here you go. You have the data for the 3 years all appended together inside one query. The final step inside Power Query, I need just to make sure that my data types are all correct. While selecting all columns, I'm going to transform tab and then detect data type. And here you go. All the data types are fixed and all is working perfectly. Now I'm ready to load this into Power BI. I'm going to the home. On the left hand side, I have close and apply. This is exactly the same function as close and load inside Excel. I'm going just to hit close and apply. And now we can start to build our report. Now the data loaded inside Power BI and we can start to build our report. But where is the data and where exactly we are standing inside this user interface and how many views that we have? So let's start by a quick introduction about the user interface of Power BI Desktop and the different views inside this user interface. Now we are active on something called report view. How did we realize this? We realized this from this message, build visuals with your data. And also on the left hand side, we have 3 icons and the active one, if you hover over it, you will see report view. If you hover over the next one, you will see data view, and the last one is model view. So inside Power Query, we have 3 views, report view, and then data view, and finally model view. The active one that we are using right now is the report view, and here we can build our report. In the middle, you can notice this square, and it has a dashed border like this one. Inside these borders, you can build your visuals. We call this area the canvas, and you can see also the message here, select or drag fields from the data pane onto the report canvas. This area is our canvas, and here we are going to build our report. On the right hand side, you can notice all the visualizations. You have all the charts or visualizations available. If you hover over any one of them, you can see the name of the visual or the name of the chart. On the most right, you can see a pane called data. If you just expand this, you will see your tables. We have only one table called all sales. And if you want to expand in order to look at the fields, the different fields inside this table, you can just use this arrow and you will see all the columns of the table. Let's have a quick look at these columns because each and every icon is meaning something different inside this view. You will notice that category, product, region, and segment. You can notice that there is no icon to the left of these names, the category, product, region, and segment. Why? Because all of them are text columns, all of them are dimension columns. However, if you look at the net sales and quantity, you will notice this sigma, and it means that it has numeric values, and you can use any summarization function like sum or count or any other summarization or any other aggregation function in order to summarize the data inside these columns. Also, you will notice the date column. It has a different icon. It is something like a calendar, and automatically Power BI is creating a hierarchy for the date columns. If you have the data type is date, it will automatically create a hierarchy. If you want to check this hierarchy, you can just open the arrow here and you will see the date hierarchy. It has 4 categories or 4 levels starting from day, then month, quarter, and year. And this is automatically built by Power BI. You can just use it inside your visuals. All what we discussed right now is inside the report view. What about the 2 other views? Let me select the data view Inside the data view, you will see all the tables on the right hand side, and if you select any table, you can preview the actual data in the middle. Here is our only table, all sales, and here is the actual data and the actual rows of data inside this table. If you select the model view, you will also see your table in the middle. On the right hand side also we'll see all the tables, but we have only one table right now. That's why we have only one box. If we have another table, it will appear also here in another box, in a separate box. And you can use the model view in order to build relations between these tables. But this will not be the case for this example because we are going to work only on one table. But this place you can use in order to model your data and build the required relations between the tables. Back to the report view. Let's go directly and try to create some visuals in order to build our report. The entire report will be focusing on the net sales. So I'm going to do several charts, but all of them will be like a classification or different views around the net sales. So I'm going to start by just selecting the net sales. I'm going to hover over it, and then I'm going to left click and hold, and then drag it and drop it inside the canvas. Automatically a column chart will be drawn. And if you hover over the column, you will see that the value is 13 million. This is the sum of the entire column of the net sales. But for sure, I need to look at some classification, not only the total amount of the net sales. I'm going to select this time the category, and also I'm going to click and hold and then drag it and drop it inside this chart. And here you go, we have a column chart classified by the category: bikes, clothing, accessories, and components. I would say if I manage to convert this into a bar chart, this will be much more readable. So I'm going to select the visual, and from the visualization section, I'm going to select the one just before it, the clustered bar chart. Once I click on it, you will see that the chart converted into a clustered bar chart. And I think now the label's position is much better. Now I need to add another classification inside the same visual. Let's say that I need to look at the net sales by category and also by product. So I can use the product column inside the same visual. But before doing so, let's have a look on the fields that we already used. And in order to check them, let's look at the visualization pane. And if you go down below the icons of different visuals, while selecting the same visual, you will see the different fields that we already used. You'll see that we used the category inside the x-axis, and you will see that we used the net sales, and automatically Power BI created a sum of the net sales inside the x-axis. This is exactly like what's happening when we drop a column containing numbers inside the value section in a pivot table. Now I need to add the product inside the same visual, and I need to put it below the category field inside the x-axis. So I'm going to drag it, and whenever I see this green line, I'm going to release, and here you go, I have the category and then the product inside the x-axis. Once we drop another level inside the same axis, you will see a change happen to the visual. You will see that I have these 4 buttons, and these buttons is nothing but the drill down button. You can use this double arrow in order to go to the next level. Once I click on it, you will see that the entire chart or the entire visual changed to look at the products. If I drag it down, you will see that we can see all the products. If I want to go up, I can use this drill up, so I can go up, or I can use the single arrow, the single downside arrow. If you click on it, it will be converted into a black circle with a white arrow inside this circle, meaning that you can use the drill down inside the chart itself. So I can hover over the bike and double click, and here you go, all the chart converted into the breakdown of the bikes itself. I can go up using the drill up. I can also do the same for clothing. You will see all the breakdown of the clothing category by product, by different product inside this category. Now we are happy with the type of the chart, the type of the visual, and also the fields that we already used inside this chart or inside this visual. The next step is try to do some customization or formatting. So again, from the visualization pane, I have different tabs. The active one now, if you hover over it, you will see add data to your visual, and here we managed to do some changes to the different fields. But if you go to the next one, if you hover over it, you will see format your visual. Once I click on it, below we'll see the different option of formatting that we can do to this chart. And from this section, we're going to do some changes. I'm going to start by just getting rid of this title. As I told you, the entire report will be talking about net sales, so we need to put the net sales on top of each and every chart. In order to do so, I have also inside the format tab, I have also two tabs, general and visual. The title will be inside the general. I'm going to click on general and you will see that I have the title and you will see this button is on. I'm going to change it to off. Also, I need to get rid of the titles of the y-axis and x-axis. This inside the visual tab. I have here the y-axis. If I just open the arrow, you will see that I have the title. Let me get rid of the title. Let me do the same in the x-axis. I'm going to get rid of the title. And I need to get rid of the entire x-axis, so I'm going to turn it to off as well. Because we hide the axis, it's better to put the labels next to the columns. I'm going to select the visual and going back to the format brush. And from the visual tab, I'm going to select data labels. I'm going to turn it to on. And here you go, you have the data labels. I think everything is working good now. The very final change I need to do to this visual, if I deselect the visual, as you can notice, you can see it is not standing out enough inside the canvas. In order to make it standing out clearly, we can either put a border or we can put something like a shadow. So I'm going to select it once more, and again from the format brush, I'm going to the general and effects, and from effects I'm going to turn on the shadow, and I think now it is much better. We can just take this to the most left, then we can drill down and then resize it a little bit down. Once I see the scroll bar start to appear, I'm going to stop. We can go up one level to look at the categories. The only visual that we have till the moment is looking at 3 years together. Remember that the table that we loaded to Power Query and we are using for this report including 3 years, 17, 18 and 19. I think it is more proper to report on each year separately. Accordingly, we need something to help us to select the year that we need to report on, so we need to add a slicer. I'm going to select any empty space inside the canvas and I'm going to visualization pane and I'm going to select the slicer. This will generate a placeholder for the slicer. I'm going to move it to the middle and I'm going to the data area, and from the date hierarchy I'm going to select the year. I'm going to drag it and drop inside the slicer, and here you go, you have the default slider. This is the default. Whenever you put date hierarchy inside a slicer, it is defaulting to a slider. From this slider I can select the 3 years together, as I can see now, or I can just use the slider to indicate the years that I'm selecting. In this case I have 2018 and 2019, and you can see that the numbers are changing according to my selection from the slider. But still I can do some customization to this slicer. So while selecting the slicer, I'm going to the format brush and I'm going to the slicer settings, and from style I'm going to select the drop down. If you check now, you have a drop down 2017 up to 2019. You can select a single year or you can use the control and select multiple years. But in my mind, it is more proper to report on a single year only. So I need this slicer to select only 1 year at a time. I'm going back to the formatting pane and I'm going to the selection section. I'm going to turn on the single select. Once I did so, if you check now, I have only 1 year selected. I have also the icon changed to buttons instead of checkboxes. You can select only a single selection at a time. Now I think we can resize it, and also we can get rid of the header, because for sure 2017 up to 2019 is nothing but years. I can just select the slicer, and from the format pane, from the visual tab, I'm going to turn off the slicer header. Once I did so, you see that I managed to get rid of the header. Let me also make it much smaller, and also while selecting the visual, I'm going again to the format pane, and from general I'm going to effects and I'm going to turn on the shadow because I need my format to be consistent across all the visuals. Now I'm ready to move it to the left hand side on top of the other visual, and let's see what other visuals we need to create for our report. If you want to look at the contribution of each segment to the total net sales, the best way is to create a donut chart. So I'm going to select an empty space inside the canvas, and from visualizations I'm going to select the donut chart. This will create a placeholder for the donut chart. I can move it to the middle, and from the data I'm going to select segment. This will create a legend containing the business and consumer, the only two segments that we have, and also I can check the net sales, and here you go, you have a donut chart containing only two slices, one for the consumer and one for the business. You can notice also there is two pieces of info. First one is the absolute amount, and also the percent of contribution to total net sales. In case of consumer, for example, I have 2.3 million with 50.2% of the total net sales. I'm going to increase the size little bit, and I'm going to do some formatting as well. I'm going to select the format brush. At the beginning, I'm going to get rid of the title inside general, so I'm going to turn off title. Back to visual, I'm going to get rid of the legend as well, so I'm going to turn it off. But in this case, I need to add the name of the segment to the data label, so I'm going to detailed label, and I'm going to select label content. I'm going to open the drop down, and I'm going to select all details. Here you go. I have the name of the segment business with the absolute amount and also the percent to the total net sales. Let me go back to the format brush. From the general, I'm going to select effects, and also I'm going to add the shadow. I think now I'm good to go for this visual. I'm going to place it to the left, just next to the slicer and the bar chart. And now I need to look also at the contribution of each region to the total net sales, so I can just copy this visual. I'm going to select the visual, Control C to copy, and I'm going to select any empty space once more and Control V to paste. Now I can just place it next to the original one, and the only change I need to do is just to take out the segments and replace it with the region. I'm going to X out the segment, and I'm going to click on the region, and here you go. I have a new donut chart looking at each and every region. The final adjustment is just to resize both of these charts. So far so good. Also, the slicer automatically is working with the entire report, so if I change to 2018, all the charts will be automatically changed. And also all of these visuals are totally interactive, meaning that, let's say I'm going to click on the business part of this pie chart, the two other charts will interact with this click. Also, if I go to the bar chart representing the breakdown of the sales by category, and I select something like the clothing, you will see that the two other charts will be interacting with this selection. However, there is two types of interaction inside Power BI. The first one is the highlight, and this is exactly what we are seeing right now. If you select anything from this visual, the portion representing your selection will be highlighted, and the other type of interaction is filter not highlighting, meaning that if I select something like the bikes, the total visual for business consumer will be filtered down to represent my selection, and this is exactly what I want for my report. So I'm going to edit these interactions, and this is exactly what we are going to see in the next section. In order to control how these charts are interacting with each other, I'm going to select any of them. Let's start by the bar chart on the left hand side, and I'm going to select the format ribbon, and on the left hand side I need to click the edit interaction. Once I select the edit interactions, you will see the other charts. If you look at the other charts, you will see three icons on top of each and every one, except for the slicer, it will have only two icons. So let's start by the first one on the right hand side, the donut chart representing the regions, and let's check the options that we have. First one on the right hand side, if you hover, you will see none, meaning that if I select none, this visual will not be responding to my selection inside the bar chart. However, you have the highlight, and this is the default, and also you have the filter option. So for me, I'm going to select the filter. I'm going to do the same for the other donut chart. I'm going to select the filter, and for the slicer you have only two options, either filter or none, and for sure I'm going to stay with the filter. I need to do the same for the two other charts. So I'm going to select the business consumer donut chart. I'm going to the bar chart and select filter. I'm going to the other donut chart and select filter as well. Now I'm going to select the last one, the donut chart for the region. From the business consumer donut chart, I'm going to select filter, and also from the bar chart, I'm going to select filter. And now I'm going to click once more the edit interaction button. And let's try now. If I select bikes, you will see the other two charts are filtered down to represent only bikes. I can select across the charts, meaning that if you press and hold Control, you can select bikes and business. Now everything is looking at bikes and business. I can select also a specific region, let's say Giza. Continue holding the Control button and click on Giza, and you will see that everything now is representing 2018. bikes, business, and Giza, and this is exactly what we want. Suppose we want to add another chart, but we don't know exactly how to add this chart. We all know that Power BI is supported by artificial intelligence or AI. So how we can make the AI assist us in order to build or to create this chart? I'm going to select any empty space in the canvas, and I'm going to the visualization pane, and I'm going to select the Q&A visual. The Q&A stands for question and answer. Once I click on it, it will create this placeholder. You will find a place that you can use to enter your question in the normal language, in the normal English language, and also you'll find some recommendation from Power BI, like the count of segments or total net sales. Also, you can show more recommendations. You can just go through them and pick whatever you want, or you can add your question in this box. In my case, I'm going to ask a question. Please provide the net sales trend over time. And here you go. You have a trend line of your daily net sales for the selected years. This visual is also totally interactive and responsive to all the other selections from the other charts. Let me resize this one. And you will see that the Q&A box is still active. You can change your question, you can change your chart anytime. And even after publishing this report, you can still change the question. However, you can also convert this visual into a standard visual. I can do this by just clicking this button. Once I click on it, it will be converted into a standard visual. And finally, I'm going to do some formatting in order to make sure that the entire report having the same look and feel, but I'm going to do this in a fast forward mode in order to save some time. Now I'm done with this visual, and you can notice that it is totally interactive with the rest of the visuals and also with my selection from the slicer. The very final step is to add a title to this report. So I'm going to select an empty space in the canvas, and this time I'm going to use a text box. From the home ribbon in the middle, you'll see this text box. I'm just going to select it. It will add a placeholder for a text box. I can just put it on top of the report, and also I can quickly resize it. And directly I can start to write the title. It will be something like AAA Bikes Sales Report for the year X. Let's say the selected year 2017. I'm going to select the entire text. Let me select a font size like 36. Also, I can put it in the center. I can change the font to something like dark gray. And also from effects, I'm going to activate the shadow. I think now we are done with the title. However, the only catch, if we change the selection of the slicer, let's say 2018, the entire report will be looking at 2018 except for the title. So I need something to help me to change the year selected in the title interactively. I'm going to select the year 2017 and backspace, and from this window you will find something called plus value. Once I click on it, again I'm going to use the AI in order to ask question about the data. So this question will be something like the max year or the maximum year. And here you go, the result is 2018. I think it managed to understand my question. Let me save this, and here you go, you'll find the year 2018 just written here. Let me try to change the slicer. I'm going to select 2017. It is changing normally. What happened? The AI managed to catch the maximum year, but because this visual as well is interacting with the slicer, it will take the maximum year selected. That's why I have the correct year. Now I can just do some quick formatting. And if you want to look at your entire report, you can just minimize the visualization and the data. And here you go, you have your report. You can select the year, let's say 2019. Everything is changing with your selection. You can select bikes. You can press and hold control and select consumer. And also you can pick a specific region like canal, and all is working perfectly. The question now, if we add more data, more years to our source Excel file, if we add year 2020 to the original Excel file, is this report going to be updated or not? Let's try it and see what will happen. Here is the data for 2020 stored in a separate workbook, and it has the same structure. I'm going to select the only sheet that we have, right click, move or copy, create a copy, and then I'm going to select the original file, the 3-year data, and then move to end and click on OK. And here you go, I have a copy of the data inside my original source file. Make sure that this file is saved and closed. Back to the Power BI report, I'm going to expand the data pane. I'm going to select the all sales query or all sales table, right click and refresh data. Now it's refreshing and all completed. Let me check the slicer. I have the year 2020 and everything is working perfectly. That was relatively a long video. However, we managed to get a very good introduction about Power BI and to produce our first report. If you like the video, please like it and subscribe and leave a comment, and you will find some useful links here. Please check them out. We'll catch you in next video, and bye.